everyone, and welcome to MECUM in the Morning. We're here Saturday morning. It is the final day of the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania auction. Oh my goodness. I'm Laurette Nicoll. Next to me is my friend Matt Avery. Matt, what an incredible welcome that we had this morning with that line wrapping around the corner.
Every day it gets longer, Laurette. The people here in the Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania area love their classic cars, and they love the MECUM experience. And I'm excited you got to see that firsthand. We talked about it on day one. I said, Laurette, this is what happens. The enthusiasts here in this area love coming out, and you got to see it each and every morning. And we, as MECUM team members, we love seeing it too. We obviously love our fans all around the country, no matter where we travel. But there is something special about being here in Harrisburg.
Okay, can I tell you a story? So there was a little lady that was told by our ushers, don't run, because people are so excited when they come in that they were just trucking it to the seats. Well, she was told by the usher, do not run, and she said, mind your business. And she hightailed it to her seat. She got in, she got her seat. So that's the type of enthusiasm that we love that's here.
We do, with the caveat that we do encourage you to not necessarily
safety
sprint.
first.
Safety first, of course. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Laurette. Yeah, safety first. And of course, if you're wondering why are people lining up outside the door to get in, it's really because they want to get a prime seat down at the auction block to see all the action, as well as obviously just to get in and already start the day with the MECUM team. Now, I will say, Laurette, speaking of starting the day, I actually yesterday was down on the block.
I was just going to say that. Being a part of the action was this man right here, because what's right behind me, what I'm matching, this man, Matt Avery, bought his third, is this your
Stingray.
your third
Correct.
Stingray. So tell us about why this passion started for you and how this collection is evolving.
Yeah, so I know viewers of the show will know that I'm becoming more and more of a classic bicycle guy, and I can be found down in the road art section at every auction looking for two-wheeled treasures. And this year I went down there, chatted with Tiffany, a road art manager, and I said, man, I saw this Schwinn Stingray, and I said, I gotta have it. I love blue, anything blue.
Yep.
And this one's kind of neat, so I will say, Laurette, as with the vehicles, as with anything, to a certain extent, stay with me, provenance is important. Now, I'm not saying that this, but in terms of verifying that an item is what it is.
Sure.
And this particular one is date coded to August of 1967. So it's that sweet spot that a lot of collectors are looking for. Over my time as a bike collector, I've had a early 2000s edition of one of these, of a crate. But I will say again, the earlier that collectors can get to the classic era, the 60s and 70s, the better.
Okay.
And you know that, you can see that me pointing out the stamping there on the rear frame, and you can also see that there's charts online that help you to coordinate or to identify the month and year. And I will say also too, August I'm celebrating my birthday, so it was a little early birthday gift for me.
Oh, that is great.
So.
I love it. And you've caused a little bit of chaos, because we have it right behind us on stage, and there have been so many eyes on this, and you've gotten a couple of offers, albeit a little bit low.
I have, but you know, the thing of it is, Laurette, is it really speaks to the fact that all of these items that cross the block bring about memories. You know, that firsthand experience really is a primary driver for the collecting spirit. And I will say, I've enjoyed hearing the conversations of people coming up, admiring my little bike, because I really do think it brings them back to the bike that they had growing up. Or obviously, if you didn't have this one, all of us, I think, had the experience of being a young boy or girl and bicycling around your neighborhood and making memories, and now as an adult trying to go back and recapture some of that. So this joins my little growing fleet, and I can't wait to find another one.
What was the moment that sparked the collection for you? I'm so curious.
Yeah, well, I will say I trace it all back to the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals, the great show in Chicago, often considered by many, myself included, to be the Pebble Beach of muscle cars. It is the premier destination to find the top tier high performance muscle cars. Bob Ashen, who oversees that show, good friend of mine, he has a passion for bicycles, for muscle bikes. And man, we'll have to do a whole segment on this, Laurette, because this type of era of bicycle is actually referred to as a muscle bicycle, because a lot of the design influences actually draw from the muscle car. So this one doesn't have it, but you can actually get a rear slick tire similar to a dragster. But Bob, over the years of his running McCacken, as the show is called, has done a phenomenal job of incorporating kind of a show within a show and including muscle bikes and bicycles. And so I will say, just years ago, I saw them and I just love the bright colors. I did not have one of these growing up, but I love the look, and it's such a cool thing.
I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Thank you so much. And if you want to be like Matt Avery and get your own piece of road art, you can do that because we have 45 pieces of road art here for Saturday. We have 243 cars that are crossing the MECUM auction block in 8 collections. And if, again, this morning was any indicator of the energy of the amazingness that's about to transpire here in Harrisburg, oh, it's just going to be a good one.
Yeah, there is going to be so much energy on the auction block, as well as all throughout here at the Pennsylvania Farm Show Complex. Lots to see and do. The Kids Adventure Zone is outside by the staging lanes. We've had gorgeous weather, Laurette.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been
really
phenomenal
nice
here on the East Coast. We've got the MECUM service station, and we also have some of our great sponsors, including, we're so excited, Wildfire is going to be joining us for the next year, and they have a special guest today. They're bringing in Derek Berry, Vice Grip Garage, friend of MECUM Auctions, friend of MECUM in the morning, and he's going to be signing autographs throughout the day there. So for folks that are coming out, make plans, say hi to Derek. He wants to see you, he wants to greet you, and I'm sure he probably wants to hear about some barn treasures and stuff that's out in the fields, which is also our theme for today. You know, Laurette, each morning show we put together the packages with a distinct flavor, you know, dialing into specific themes or focuses. And today is all about the barn find and what you do when you uncover something that has been left in the dirt for a long time.
I am so excited about that because you have 2 incredible barn finds that were literally pulled straight out of the barn and brought here to Harrisburg.
Every collector dreams of the barn find, locating a hidden car tucked away for decades, waiting to see daylight again. But every once in a while, that lost car isn't just forgotten, it's the one everyone wishes they had found. And here at MECUM Harrisburg, the search is over with these 2. The first is this 1968 Plymouth GTX convertible. With just over 34,000 miles shown on the odometer, it was parked in a barn in upstate New York during the early 1970s, where it remained until finally emerging in 2017. And this just isn't any GTX. Under the hood is Chrysler's legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, the ultimate performance option that year, factory rated at 425 horsepower and paired with its matching numbers torque flight automatic transmission. Of the 1,026 GTX convertibles built in 1968, just 36 received the Hemi. The Sunfire yellow paint still wears decades of honest dust and patina, while a handful of mechanical components, including the brake lines, calipers, wheel cylinders, fuel tank, distributor, and exhaust, have been replaced to make the car roadworthy once again. Remarkably, it's been driven only about 3 miles since then. But the story doesn't end there. Remarkably, this 1968 Shelby GT500 KR convertible comes from the same area, with the car sold new in Rochester, New York, just about 25 minutes from where the GTX was stored. And this isn't just any Shelby. The KR stands for King of the Road and represented the top of the Shelby Mustang lineup for 1968. After being sold new, it remained with the same family before eventually spending years tucked away in a barn of its own. Power comes from Ford's legendary 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet V8, backed by a 4-speed manual transmission. Just 518 GT500 KR convertibles were built for 1968, and only 182 wore Wimbledon white like this example. Barn finds always generate excitement, but this pair are more than just discoveries, they're true time capsules. For enthusiasts, the dream won't start by opening a barn door, but by placing a bid here at MECUM Harrisburg.
That's the dream. right? To find two historic, beautiful cars like that in a barn find. And I think it might be pretty obvious, but could you explain to us what a barn find is, Matt?
Absolutely. So, as you said, that scenario really is what drives enthusiasts. When you get the call about, some rural location and there's some barn tucked in the back of a large property, and you hear the story about some owner put something special. And I will say, Laurette, within the hobby, barn find as a term has kind of expanded to mean pulling out anything from long-term storage or a shipping container or a shed or a basement. But I will say there's still out there a true barn find, because again, the classic story would be a young owner in the 60s bought one of these top tier muscle cars, and then maybe for a mechanical issue or something, rolled it into his family's farm barn, hoping to get to it one day, and that day never came, and decades go by. So that's kind of that's the holy grail of scenarios of finding that. But I will say again, as a term, barn find has kind of been extended to speak to anything of a vehicle or motorcycle that's been out of the light for a while. But I will say with both of these, there's pictures of the GTX coming out of that barn, so I will say you've got that on the consignment page. It really was truly rescued along with that Shelby out of a barn, and they both show it. And what's unique about this pair, Laurette, is I can't stress enough that whether it be a barn find or, again, if you get a call about a vehicle that needs rescuing, that's always special, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Something old or classic is unique. But what sets this pair apart is the fact that they're not just classic cars, they're the top performers, which is, again, in any condition, that's what enthusiasts want. It's the GTX Hemi, it's the Shelby King of the Road. That's what makes these get parts racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interior on this Shelby was absolutely, I wouldn't say spotless, but as close to, for that car being in storage for as long as it was, being a barn find. I stuck my head in there because I couldn't help myself because, oh my gosh, that is a dream car right there. And the interior is gorgeous. Of course, there's going to be some body work that needs to be done and internals, but what a treasure that is.
Well, and it brings up the question, so what do you do? What's next? When you encounter a vehicle like this, where do you take it? And I think that's the thrill. That's the excitement for the new owner today when these cars cross the block, is that you have a world of opportunities. I mean, I could see some people saying, preserve them as is.
Sure.
They are time capsules. They have not been touched in decades. Others would say, go full-blown Concours level restoration. Both are valid, and I would tend to think, because both of these are that top-tier performance trim, both are going to be going on full-blown restorations and probably being debuted at Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals is my hope. And actually, the GTX in particular was at MECUM, and kind of a neat thing if people want to see barn finds. My friend Ryan Brutt does a great job of, as we talked about, a show within a show with the muscle bikes. There's also a barn finds and hidden gems area where these types of cars are on display, showing the full spectrum of how these cars are typically found and then come back and restored. So it's very exciting. And again, these cars have got all kinds of eyeballs on them. People want to know the story. They want to know why they're dirty. And I say it's perfect. Leave them as is. This is exactly how you build buzz. So.
Yeah, and I think that is a beautiful transition into our next segment, where we have 3 historic beauties. What do we do with them? Three Fords, 3 decades, 3 completely different restoration philosophies. If these were yours, what would you do? So let's start with the oldest. This 1933 Ford Roadster wasn't just restored. In 1958, it was rebuilt right in the heart of America's hot rod movement. That means this car has history in 2 eras. It survived the Depression, then became someone's dream hot rod when custom cars were taking over Main Street. Today, some people would maybe make the choice to restore it back to factory condition. Others would leave the 1958 modifications because they're now historic in their own right. And then there are those who would build it into a modern street rod with fuel injection, air conditioning, and updated suspension. So what would you do? Would you restore this, or would you want to keep it the way it is to preserve its 1958 history? Next is this original 1955 Ford Thunderbird. Ford built a Thunderbird to compete with the Corvette, but instead of being an all-out sports car, it became America's first personal luxury car. These cars are beautiful because of their simplicity. Some owners can't resist adding disc brakes, electronic ignition, air conditioning, or even a modern drivetrain to make them more enjoyable to drive. Others believe an original Thunderbird should stay exactly as Ford built it in 1955, like this beauty here. If this Thunderbird was yours, would you modernize it enough to drive it every day, or would you leave every nut and bolt exactly as it is? Finally, here's the workhorse. It's a 1966 Ford F-350 that underwent a frame-off restoration. Unlike the Thunderbird, this truck spent its life doing exactly what it was built to do: work. Now for the big question. Do you restore this back to factory condition? Do you agree with the upgraded modern brakes, power steering, suspension, custom wheels, and the new Gen 3 5.0-liter Coyote V8 crate engine so it can keep working for another 50 years? And of course, do you keep the original paint with the patina, preserving the character, or do you make it shine with show-quality paint? What's the right answer for a truck like this? That's what makes this hobby so interesting. There isn't one right answer. Some classics deserve to stay original. Some tell an important story because they were modified decades ago. Others can be reborn with modern technology while still honoring their past. I'm so excited to hear from you. Out of these three, I want to hear, which one would you rest-a-mod? Which one would you leave alone? And which one would you build your own way? Let me know in the comments.
Laurette, you did an excellent job showcasing the spectrum of opportunities. Those three examples really do provide a world of opportunities for a new owner.
And isn't it so fun because there's no right or wrong answer, and there's so many opportunities. There's so many opportunities and choices that it's a little overwhelming. And with those three options, you have you have completely original. And I said AC for a convertible, and I started giggling after. I'm like, why would you do that? But I don't know if there's one specific answer that's the way to go for all these vehicles. It was just a really fun project. It was really fun looking at all the options and all the work that folks have done or left completely original. So I don't know. You tell me your insight. What would you do?
What would I do? Well, I will say, so starting with the little Roadster, that's interesting in that it was a build from, decades ago as a show car. I could see a new owner wanting to trace back that heritage and maybe, diving down to find black and white photos of the shows that it was out and doing either kind of a heritage build or trying to recreate it to honor the original builder's intent. I could see that. I could also see that new owner starting a new chapter with that car and doing something completely radical and maybe modern powertrain. The T-Bird is interesting because that one is prime for either direction. Those baby birds 55 to 57 are good candidates for full restorations. People love them looking like new. But I could also see that one, a new owner leaving that as is and just saying, hey, I just want to drive it. It's going to be, something I take out with my family or kids. And I don't, I'm not ready to go to that level of having it be a show one. And then the truck, I think, kind of represents a merging of the two, where you left the honest character of the exterior, that bed. I mean, you can imagine how many different toolboxes were set in it, the lumber that was thrown into it. I mean, all of that tells a story. And I love how that build, that custom, presents that, celebrates it, but then underneath it's completely modern. The lifted suspension, the modern powertrain, so that you can get in, fire that key, and drive cross country.
And I honestly, I love what they've done with the truck, because for me, it's like eating your cake, and because they have a truck that's going to be working, but they still have that character. They have the story, and it's an attention getter in either direction, but having all of that patina on it, you can just see the blemishes and the storytelling that holds. So I love what all the options were. And I think something that's also really interesting is that there was along these same lines, there was a truck that was out in the yard here. It's a Chevy K10. It has caught my attention every time I walked by this truck, and it's so interesting for me because this is kind of it's not my style of truck. I normally love Mustangs that are 65 to 67. I love Ford Broncos from 67. And to have this beautiful truck, you can have your cake and eat it too. That's what I needed to say earlier. But this truck being lifted, being modified, being completely done, I would want to drive this truck and I would want to make sure that it's reliable, that it's safe. And that's exactly what they've done with this K10. So a phenomenal job. And I can take what they've done with this K10 and imagine if the F350 was also done like this, I would have really enjoyed the full restoration. But again, there's no wrong answer. And I know for a lot of curious minds, if we look at the 33 Ford, the bid goes on at $11,000. The T-Bird was sold for $14,300, and then the 66 Ford F350 bid goes on at $85,000. So big scope there. But this K10 is going to cross the block today. I'm very excited to see what it goes by. But I guess for me, I would want to drive it and have it be reliable, and those would be that would be my top of the list.
Well, and it's interesting, Laurette, because when we talk about what do you do with the crossroads that an enthusiast comes to when you get a project, it's interesting because I do think that one of the areas that we're seeing a lot of interest is with trucks. Partly because I think for a long time, they were kind of relegated to the shadows of the hobby. I'm saying, now in the last 10 years, they are red hot, and particularly the C10 body style, the square bodies. And I think it's interesting with the trucks because they do have a life prior to becoming a collectible, right? And so I think just like the Ford that you showcase, you've got that opportunity to celebrate that or preserve it. But on the other end, you also have trucks like the one that you pointed out, and then another truck that's here on display that caught my eye, another C10, lot number S34. Both of these have gone the direction of, hey, let's reimagine these and put all kinds of custom touches. I love this. Obviously, this is nowhere near what it would look like in the showroom. That like the truck that you were spotlighting, it did want to preserve some of that like nostalgia. This one, full custom build, 454 V8 underneath the hood. Laurette, that is a monster engine for that light truck. All kinds of additional custom modifications on it. Big 20-inch wheels, big brakes, custom interior, AC. I mean, this thing has been done up as a show truck.
Yeah.
And again, I think it really speaks to the spectrum of when you come across something here at MECUM Auctions, it's a wide gamut. It's not just top tier supercars and show cars that have come off of the show circuit or are ready for the show circuit. You can really find some treasures all along that spectrum that you can buy, you can take home, and you can make it your own. And I think that's a great reminder, and that's why we get so excited. That's why we have lines outside. It's that thrill. People coming out, never knowing what you're going to encounter, whether it be a full custom truck, a barn find Shelby, or a little Schwinn Stingray. It's all here.
Yeah, it is all here. And it's been so cool watching everything. And so I'm really curious to know what your opinion is. What would you do with the cars that we showcased? And is there something that you're building, or even in your mind? If it's in your garage or if it's in your mind, let us know what you would do. Would you fully customize? Would you leave it original? What would you do? I'm so excited to hear all the answers because there's no right or wrong answer. It's just preference, it's heart. And I think a lot of times too, it's based on emotion, which I love because there's going to be some sort of memory that's hanging in the balance of why someone does what they're going to do with the car.
Well, and as you said, there's no right or wrong, and I really do hope that the viewers who are watching, whatever you have in your garage or whatever you're working on, enjoy it. Don't try to make it someone else's.
Yeah.
Make it your own. If you want to customize it, customize it. If you want to leave it stock, you want to drive the wheels off of it, with all the barn dirt on it, do that.
Totally.
That's what makes this hobby great. Like we talked all week long, Laurette, whether you're cruising the Autobahn, you're cruising Route 66, whether it's restored or customized or left as is, just go out there and enjoy it. That's what it's all about.
You know what? I don't have anything to add to that. That is a perfect way to end the show, Matt.
Well, we have certainly enjoyed our time here with you on MECUM in the Morning, Saturday, here at MECUM Harrisburg, Pennsylvania Farm Show Complex. Come on out. There is a lot in store here at the fairgrounds. And, of course, when you do, you can encounter all of the latest MECUM merch. We are right next to it, Laurette. We have all kinds of great items, including the event-exclusive tee. There with that Fox Body Celine we've talked about all week long.
Yep.
I might even have to get a second shirt, Laurette. I'm
Oh, you
not sure.
should.
But I do have that one. All kinds of other new pieces that people can find. And, man, this has been a lot of fun, Laurette.
Yay. Yay.
We have
And
to get off the air, don't we?
we do, but before we go, a very special thank you so much for joining us. Your sweet family is here supporting us. Thank you so much to the Avery family and our entire team here at MECUM.
Yeah, and tune in to MECUM Roku and Amazon streaming also for all kinds of special exclusive features. Dropping today, Cars of the 40s and 50s, produced by our own show producer, Alyssa Bridges. 2 new episodes of On the Move are going to be out there today as well. As Laurette said, there's a lot in store, and we are so appreciative of you joining in. We will see you later at MECUM Monterey. We hope you have a great day.